Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we will focus on ransomware and its impact on our industry.
All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down the massive shift that's happening with ransomware. And this isn't just for the tech folks. This is a strategic briefing for anyone leading a team or an organization. Because the business of cybercrime has fundamentally changed, and you need to know how so you can stay ahead. I want to start with just one number, 7,515. That's how many victims were publicly posted by ransomware groups in 2025 alone. It absolutely shattered every previous record. This isn't just a number, It's a sign that the ransomware economy is scaling up at a terrifying pace. But this brings us to a really weird situation. We keep hearing that fewer companies are actually paying the ransom. So how on earth are attackers having their best year ever? Well, the answer changes everything. They don't always need your money. They just need your data. The game isn't about locking your systems anymore. It's about threatening to leak your secrets. So here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on the sheer scale of what happened in 2025. Then, we'll look at the new playbook attackers are using to get inside our networks. We'll cut through all the hype around AI to see what's really going on. We'll also talk about why law enforcement takedowns aren't a silver bullet. And finally, we'll land on the key defensive priorities you need to be focused on for 2026. Okay, first up, let's just take a moment to absorb the scale of this explosion. 2025 wasn't just a little bit worse, it was a period of sustained, relentless attack. And look, this wasn't some one-off spike. It wasn't just a bad quarter. The data shows this terrifying consistency. Every single quarter of 2025 was worse than the same quarter in the year before. Just Q1 alone had more than double the victims of Q1 2024. This is the new normal, the new tempo for cybercrime. So, who's in the crosshairs? Well, manufacturing is getting hammered the most, followed by tech, retail, and healthcare. And there's a clear strategy here. These sectors can't afford any downtime, and the data they hold, whether it's intellectual property or patient records, is incredibly toxic if it gets leaked. Attackers know that, and they're hitting that pain point hard. And this really gets to the core of the new reality. You've got perfect backups? That's great, but it doesn't matter as much anymore. The threat isn't about getting your files back. The threat is about stopping your most sensitive information from being dumped online for your customers, competitors, and regulators to see. The whole game has shifted from encryption to pure, raw extortion. So how are they getting all this data? Well, attackers have a new playbook, and it's pretty scary because it's designed specifically to get around the very defenses we've all spent years putting in place. First, you gotta forget that old stereotype of some lone hacker in a dark basement. The modern ransomware world is a professional business. Think of it like a dark franchise model. You have core developer groups who build the nasty software, and then they lease it out to affiliates who actually carry out the attacks. This ransomware as a service model lets them scale up with terrifying efficiency. For years, we focused on building a strong perimeter, right? Like a digital castle wall. But attackers have pretty much stopped trying to knock the wall down. Instead, they're just finding an unlocked door. They are systematically finding and exploiting vulnerabilities in the very tools we use to connect to the outside world, our VPNs, our firewalls, and they're just walking right in. And once they're inside, they use some incredibly sneaky tricks. One of the biggest ones right now is called Bring Your Own Vulnerable Driver. The best way to think about it is this. Imagine an attacker finds an old official master key to your building. It was made by the manufacturer decades ago, but it still works. Your new state-of-the-art security system sees that key and thinks, oh, that's an official key, it must be okay. The attacker uses that trust to walk right past your alarms and turn them off from the inside. And here's how it plays out. It's devastatingly simple. First, they get in through that perimeter vulnerability. Second, they load one of these old but trusted drivers. And third, because that driver has the keys to the kingdom, the highest level of system access, they just use it to switch off your security software. It's over. Groups like Akira and Kulin have this down to a science. Of course, we have to talk about AI. There's so much hype and frankly, a lot of fear. But our job as leaders is to separate what's actually happening today from what's just science fiction. So let's be real about AI. Right now, today, it's an efficiency tool for criminals. They use it to write much more convincing phishing emails, to overcome language barriers, and to quickly sift through mountains of stolen data to find the really valuable stuff. Now, by 2026, we'll see AI start to automate more steps in an attack, making skilled hackers even faster. But this idea of fully autonomous ransom bots running wild, we are just not there yet. And the expert analysis backs this up. The key takeaway here is that AI is a powerful tool, but it's not replacing the human attacker. It's a force multiplier. It makes a good attacker great, and a mediocre attacker pretty good. But there is still a human pulling the strings. Now, we all see the headlines when law enforcement takes down a major cybercrime group. And those are huge, important victories. But we have to be really clear-eyed about what those takedowns actually accomplish in the long run. I mean, a fantastic example is Operation Secure. This was a massive international effort that took down over 20,000 malicious servers and domains in 2025. These kinds of operations cause real disruption for criminals, and they are absolutely vital.
But, and this is a really big but, disruption is not elimination. This isn't a snake you can kill just by cutting off its head. It's more like a hydra. Law enforcement takes down a big brand name like Lockbit, and two more, smaller groups pop up to take its place.
The whole cybercrime ecosystem is just incredibly resilient. The experienced attackers just rebrand or join a new team. The tools and techniques get shared almost instantly, and that franchise model we talked about makes the whole network decentralized and really, really quick to recover. The hard truth is they adapt faster than most of us can patch. Okay, so knowing all of this, that attackers can get past our walls, that they can bounce back from takedowns, where do you focus your time, your budget, and your energy? The answer really requires a pretty fundamental shift in how we think about defense. It really comes down to three strategic pillars. First, treat identity as your new perimeter. Second, AI-powered defense isn't a luxury anymore, it's mandatory. And third, none of this works unless the security-first mindset is driven from the very top of the organization. Let's quickly touch on each one. Let's just assume for a second the attacker is already inside your network. What stops them from moving around and getting to your most critical data? The answer is identity. Your last and most critical line of defense is controlling exactly who has access to what and why. It's about making sure that even if they get in, they can't go anywhere important. And as attackers use AI and automation to move faster, we have to keep pace. You simply cannot fight machine speed attacks with a human speed response. It's impossible. You have to have AI-powered defenses that can spot those tiny, subtle signals of an attack in real time and, crucially, respond automatically. So I'll leave you with this one question to take back to your teams. Knowing that attackers are walking past your perimeter and using AI to move at machine speed, is your defense strategy truly ready for this new reality? Is it built around identity and automated response? Because you have to be ready. They certainly are.
Thank you for watching the video.